Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. I have a really cool knife to share with you today. We are taking a look at the Spyderco Caribbean. This is such a cool knife, and it's one that I've been aware of for a long time, but just never gotten around to actually buying, sadly. I still haven't gotten around to buying it, but I was fortunate that a fellow Canadian Knife and Gear member was willing to let me borrow this for a bit to do a review. All right, this is a great knife. And now that I've got it in hand, I'm like, man, Kevin, why didn't you get your hands on this earlier? Because I am enjoying this to no end. It's large, it's comfortable in hand, it has great materials. It really checks a lot of my boxes, and it actually does that better than a lot of other Spydercos that are out there. Big handle, tons of grip area, nice and comfortable, ergonomic. This is a knife I could really see getting some work done with. And so for all of those reasons, I am definitely a fan of this knife. Um, so in terms of, some comparisons here, there we go. Sorry, guys, I couldn't find the knife that I was looking for. It was this one right here. But you can see the Para 2 is a pretty standard sized knife, one that I'm a big fan of. But you can see the Caribbean is substantially larger than the Para here. And that to me is a pretty substantial win. All right. So just wanted to, so we're kind of out of the introductory phase here. I'll bring the Para 2 back in when we do some more comparisons. But before we get to that, I want to do a quick rundown on size and weight, then work our way through the knife the way that we always do. So 8.5 inches overall. So nice and big. I have 3/16 written down. I'm sorry, that is not right at all. In fact, let me grab my ruler and fix this right away. It is 3 5/8. In fact, I think it might be even a little bit more than that. So it's a little more actually than 3 5/8. It's not quite 11/16, but that's probably what I was trying to write when I wrote 3. So that's your blade length there. So over 3.5 inches, really nice to see. 4 7/8 closed. So almost 5 inches long when closed. That's the kind of space it's going to take up in your pocket there. Huge 4 1/4 inch grip area. Like I've got all four fingers in here and you can see I'm not touching either end. This is a great big knife. If you have very large hands, if you're wearing gloves a lot for work, this will work just fine. I wouldn't want to try to put in neoprene gloves for diving and using this. Just, I feel like diving kind of requires a fixed blade, but working around water with gloves on, you're still going to have plenty of grip area to be able to use this. Weighs in at 4.1 ounces, which is, very good for its substantial size. All right, let's take a look at this blade. We've got this nice flat grind on this drop point. Now, there are a couple of versions of this. There's a fully serrated version. There's more of a sheep's foot version. This is the drop point. And I think both of those blades, the drop point and the sheep foot, are also available fully serrated. So that's what's out there. Nice high flat grind, drop point that we're used to seeing from Spyderco, a bit of a little thumb ramp there. Nice and thin behind the edge, very slicey. This is not super big, thick blade stock. Let me grab the Para 2 here for you really quick. You can see that it's not quite as thick as the Para 2. All right. Landing right around 1/8 of an inch. The Para 2 is just a little over, I suppose. Spider hole size. There's the Manix 2 lockback. Again, there's the Para 2. So you can see the nice big spider hole on this, again, for easy access regardless of what you might be wearing. And so that gets us through the blade, but we haven't talked about the steel yet. I don't want to just move on just having, described the physical characteristics. The performance of this steel, LC200N, is absolutely phenomenal. It's highly corrosion resistant. So there, I'm not gonna go into all these details other than to say, like, you are hard pressed to get this to rust. Not lots of YouTubers have tried, and you can go and watch their videos to see the results. But you're just not going to have to worry about getting this knife wet, which is the real selling feature. And the blade steel is a big part of that. Now, they do have to be very aware with how they build everything else as well. But that blade being essentially corrosion proof is fantastic, right? And a lot of us like to have tools where we don't have to worry about it. And this is just one of those tools where, yeah, you don't have to give it a second thought in terms of corrosion resistance. The other cool thing about this, and before the LC200N knives started to come around, we were stuck with the H1 steel, and it was okay. I mean, it was very good for corrosion resistance, but it wasn't great for edge retention. But here we have sort of the best of both worlds, with one exception out there. These days, when these came out, it wasn't really as popular, but these days the MagnaCut steel is being found on lots and lots of knives, more knives all the time. And guess what? It is also highly corrosion resistant, to the point that I think it might qualify. It might qualify for a Salt Series knife, and I think that's actually in the works. So that's a bit of a game changer for us, but not that is not by any means to say that LC200N is anything to sneeze at. All right, so that's the blade. Absolute win on this blade. Very good, very slicey, very reliable, very corrosion resistant, great edge retention. Nothing to hate about this blade at all. All right. I guess the one thing that we should mention is there's no sharpening choil here. So you're going to have to exercise a certain amount of care when you're putting a new edge on this thing. Or like many have done, you'll have to add your own little sharpening choil there. All right, let's move on to lockup and deployment. What we have back here is a compression lock, and it's a good compression lock. I've said before, and I'll say it probably again, Spyderco does a great job with the compression lock on the Para 2. Where they tend to struggle is everywhere else. Okay, we've had a bunch of knives with compression locks on the channel. The Yojimbo is still pretty good. The Yojumbo, the blade would hit your hand. The Shaman, the blade hits your hand. What knife? The Amalgam was very difficult to access the compression lock. So, you kind of hear, oh, Spyderco's putting a compression lock on this knife. And instead, where I used to be really excited because I loved the Para 2 so much, sorry, I messed up that deployment. Now it's like, oh, great. Is it going to be fine? Or is this going to be an issue? The Sliver Axe is another one where they kind of blew it with the compression lock. But this is very, very good. It's easy to access. It's drop shut. There we go. For some reason I have a hard time demonstrating anything I want to show you guys. There you go. So you can see it's drop shutting there. Just me messing it up there was user error, not knife error that made it fail the other time there. So really, really well done compression lock on this one. And that's not something Spyderco always gets right. So I'm really, really happy they got it right on this. Really nicely done, very fidgety, very fun. This is a phosphor bronze washer knife, which again, that's something you want when it's a knife you're going to be working with in the outdoors. It's nice to know that it's just that simple washer design, and you're not going to have to worry about bearings or getting gunk in the bearings or having to take it apart and clean anything or anything like that. Just loosen this off, blow it out with air, spray it out with some water, or clean it up, and you're good to go if you do happen to get dirt or sand or something like that in there. Moving on to the handle, we've got this nice yellow and black Bumblebee G10 with nested stainless steel liners. This is really the only thing that I don't love about the knife. Now, the grip is very, very good, and I think they purposely did this, very deep, very big, hefty ridges. It's really, really grippy. That part is 100%, right? No issue with that whatsoever. And I think the idea is that even if you got wet or slippery, potentially slippery, you're going to be good to go. The issue is, I just don't like the color. All right. If they had done something else, they could have just left it black and put this pattern in. If they had done some other colors, maybe blue, since it's kind of water. I know the yellow is to make it easier to find, but you could use a blue that really pops and get the same job done, or essentially the same job done. Anyway, Not totally in love with the colorway on this, but the construction, the feel in hand is very, very good. No issue at all. We do have a Spyderco clip here, the typical one, two-position clip. So if you ever wanted to switch this out with any of the aftermarket ones, that would be totally doable. We also have these nice standoffs back here. So nice open construction. Again, easy to clean, easy to maintain, no issues whatsoever. And they've done a nice job with those nested liners. So they're nicely hidden in there, and the G10 kind of covers everything up really well. So that's all of the features. Let me throw in a couple of quick comparisons. If you're one of those guys like me where the Para 2 is sort of on the smallish side for you, you don't have to, this provides, I think, a pretty good option. You can see it's not quite there, but it's almost as big as the 8010 if you're that kind of guy, which I definitely am. We've already had the Mannix here, but I didn't actually set it down so you could see a good comparison. So we'll do that really quick. Let's throw in a Recon 1 as well. All right, so there's the Recon 1. And somewhere here, yeah, there it is. We also have the Benchmade Super Freak. Fairly close in size to the Super Freak as well. I think it's a full 8.5 inches. All right, so that's a good rundown of features, size, comparison, how everything functions. Overall, guys, I cannot complain about this knife. This is really, really well done. I mentioned that I'm not in love with the colors. By the way, the friend who lent this to me for review has the zip tie mod done to it, and that's great. It works well for him apparently. I didn't really play with it. I don't do that to my knives normally, and so I thought I don't want to mess with it and get used to it. So I just kind of pretended like it wasn't there, especially because when you buy this, it's not going to be there. The last thing I guess we should touch on briefly is price point, and if you use my discount code from White Mountain Knives, you can save yourself a little bit. I'm pretty sure these are not in stock. I looked around White Mountain Knives, but I do have affiliate links listed for Blade Ops as well as for DLT trading. So please use those if they don't have what you're looking for over at White Mountain Knives. All of that is a huge, huge help to the channel, and I'll thank you in advance for doing that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching. We will talk to you soon.